Good morning. Welcome to Saturday, May 20th, 2023, here on the Winners and Winers Network. This is Just Parlays with Chris King. And of course, I'm your host, Chris King. Hope everybody had a good week. Hope everybody had a profitable week. A lot of stuff that went down as the week went on. Going back to last weekend, we saw the 76ers implode again, losing Game 7 to the Celtics 110-88. That led to the end of the Doc Rivers era in Philadelphia as he was fired. Rivers, of course, not a good coach when it comes to Game 7s. We talked about it a little bit last week. He added another loss to that, his fifth straight loss in a Game 7 situation. So now he's looking for a job. That team could be in complete disarray. James Harden talking about how he wants to go back and play for the Rockets, which makes no sense whatsoever if you want to be a guy who's going to be in the playoffs. We know how bad Houston is. What else did we see? Last night we saw the Celtics melt down once again in the fourth quarter as they fell to the Heat. So they're down 2-0 in the series. They lost 111-105. Grant Williams talking a bunch of trash and obviously did nothing when it mattered. As Jimmy Butler had another big game. Bam Adebayo nearly missed a triple-double. Finished with 22 points, 17 rebounds, 9 assists. Butler had 27. He'd outscored the Celtics 24-9 over the last 6:37 of the contest. It's hard to believe this was an 8 seed going into the playoffs. They've now gone into Boston, taken the first two games of the series. They outscored them 36-22 in the fourth quarter overall. Boston didn't hit a field goal, I think, in the last 3:52 of the contest. Turned the ball over 15 times. They lost the rebounding battle 45-35. And let's face it, they're in trouble at this point. You're down 2-0 in the series. You have to go to Miami now and deal with the Heat there, where they were 27-14 in the regular season. And Miami's getting points from guys you don't necessarily expect. You know, Adebayo had the big game. Caleb Martin had 25 points off the bench, shot 11 of 16 from the floor. And you look at the other side of things, and Boston got 7 out of Marcus Smart. Jaylen Brown was held to 16. He was 7 of 23 from the field, just 1 of 7 from 3. Those numbers aren't going to get it done. Robert Williams hit all 5 of his shots, but, you know, he's not a big offensive weapon. Al Horford has disappeared in the playoffs. He finished with 2. That's not going to get it done either. And Boston's not using much from the bench. You haven't seen Sam Hauser in the playoffs. You haven't seen Peyton Pritchard didn't even play last night. They played 8 guys. They had Brogdon had 13. Derek White had 11. And Grant Williams had 9 off the bench. That's it. Joe Mazzulla is being out-coached right now by Eric Spoelstra, and a lot of that has to do with, the age difference and the experience factor of being in the league. That's just the way things work sometimes. Mazzulla could be a good coach if they give him enough time to develop. But, he's a 34-year-old guy in his first season as the head coach. I see Don's asking real quick about Detroit and Washington in Major League Baseball. The Tigers won last night 8-6. Alex Fado going for the Tigers. He's 0-1 with a 4.22 earned run average and 2 starts. Lost his last start, though. It was a quality outing against the Mariners where he went through 6 innings. He had 3 runs on 4 hits, a walk, and 7 strikeouts. Corbin, 2-5, 4.65 earned run average, 143 whip. 10 walks, 31 strikeouts, and 50 in the third for the Nats. Normally, when you see Corbin, it's pretty much an automatic, run the other way screaming because of the fact that he's been so bad the last couple of seasons. You look at Corbin's numbers, and they haven't been pretty the last couple of seasons. You look at back in 2021, he led the National League in losses. He was 9-16, gave up 37 homers and 171 and 2/3 innings. Last year he was 6-19. His earned run average 631. Led the majors in hits allowed and earned runs allowed. He's been a little better this season. He still leads the majors in hits given up with 62. But, his FIP is a little bit better than his earned run average is 447. I don't know if you can count on Detroit to score 8 runs again. I'd probably lean towards Washington. I wouldn't run out there and make it my top play of the day or anything like that. But, you look at the numbers, and the Tigers, they played decent baseball. They're 10-12 on the road. Washington's 8-15 at home. The line shows that there's not a ton of excitement about either team here because the Nats are going off about -115 as the favorite. Let me just see what the Tigers have done against lefties this season. They've hit .235 against lefties with a .296 OBP and a .384 slugging. Like I said, I'd lean towards Washington, but I wouldn't chase after it. Leo said it's a weird series with the Celtics. It was all over the 9.5. Yeah, it looked like they had it. Like you said, going into the fourth quarter, they hit that 3 early to go up 11, and then they fell apart. That said, it's hard to lay that many points in the playoffs, especially with Miami. You look at the Heat in the postseason; they're 6-2 in games where they've trailed by at least 10 points at some point. The rest of the NBA is 15-60. Now, granted, that's not sustainable. You don't want to fall behind by double digits in the postseason, but Miami's found a way to get around it, and it's you got to give them credit for what they've done. What else we see last night? We saw overtime again in the NHL, though it wasn't nearly as long as Thursday night's game. Of course, Thursday night we saw Carolina and Florida go to quadruple overtime before the Panthers won 3-2. Last night we saw the Stars tie the game up with less than 2 minutes to go in regulation. Went to overtime. Everybody was like, oh boy, this is going to be exciting. It's going to be another long game. No, it was over a minute 35 into the extra session when Brett Howden scored the winner of assists from Matt Stone and Chandler Stevenson. Still a well-played game between those teams. Dallas led 1-0 after 1. It was 1-1 after 2. The teams traded goals twice in the third period. Carlson made it 2-1 for Vegas. Roop Hintz tied it up at 2. Teddy Bluger made it 3-2. Vegas had some golden opportunities to take a 4-2 lead, but Jake Ottinger kept Dallas in the game, and then Jamie Benn tied it at 18:01 before Howden won the game in overtime. A lot of shots for both teams. The shots for 37-36 in favor of Vegas. Jason Robertson finally got on the score sheet again, so that was a plus for Dallas. But still, the Stars now have to bounce back tomorrow if they want to even that series. Tonight we've got the Hurricanes and the Panthers, and you have to wonder, what do those teams have left after playing 4 overtimes the other night? Because you look at some of the minutes that those guys logged, and those are some heavy lifting. Brandon Montour for the Panthers, 57 minutes and 56 seconds of ice time. So he skated nearly a full game in that contest. Forsling, 55-41. Aaron Ekblad, 52-10. Look at some of the forwards. Carter Verhaeghe, 44-59. Barkov, 44-20. Sam Reinhart played 40-58. Kachuk skated 40-50 or 40-31. For Carolina, you look at the numbers for them. Brent Burns, who's like 603 years old. He's 38. He played 54 minutes and 43 seconds, blocked 10 shots. Slavin, 51-41. Brady Shea, 48-19. Brett Pesce, 47-51. I mean, when your third pairing guys are playing 33, 35 minutes, it's going to take a toll on you. I mean, Sebastian Aho played 45-56 to lead the forwards for Carolina. Seth Jarvis, 41-32. Neck is 41-30. You have to think the game nearly ended twice in the first, 10 or 12 minutes of overtime. Florida thought they won it at 2:34 or so of the first overtime. Only to have Colin White get called for goaltender interference. On a power play, Jarvis hit the crossbar and had it go straight down. So, I mean, you look at that and you have to wonder, do these guys have anything left? Are we going to see any kind of offensive weaponry in this game, or are we just going to see guys dragging because they're trying to, recuperate after playing, probably 2-3 times their normal minutes? I mean, that's a huge toll. You look at the numbers, and there's one guy in the entirety of both teams who played less than 20 minutes, and that was Lundberg. He played 18-46. He's the guy that nearly won it in overtime before the goal was overturned. But everybody else, you're talking about some heavy minutes. Florida had 1, 2, 3, 4 forwards play at least 40 minutes. Then Sam Bennett played 38 plus. Duclair played almost 36. Lundell played 37 and a half. You look at Carolina's forwards. We talked about Aho and Jarvis and Neckis. Nosen played 38-47. Jordan Stahl played 35-33. Teravainen, who hadn't played since breaking his hand or suffering a hand injury anyway in the first round against the Islanders, so he hadn't played in a month. He logged 37-28 of ice time. Coach Kemi, 35-19. I mean, we're talking Jesper Fost, 36-07. I mean, we're talking about a lot of wear and tear on those guys. You're welcome, Corey. Glad to see you had a good parlay and put some money in your pocket. That's what it's all about at the end of the day. Before we move on, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button so you know when we're here. If you're new here or if you're not, we're here at 9 a.m. on Saturday mornings. But still, it never hurts to get a reminder. Those things come in handy. If you want even more picks, you can use the promo code scrolling across the bottom of the screen. Go to experts.winnersandwhiners.com. You can save 60% on any premiums out there. That includes parlays. You can get them for the week, the month, the year. You can get individual game picks. You can get individual sport picks, whatever you want to do. But use the promo code, save yourself some money. It all works out. What do we have going on today? Well, got a full slate of Major League Baseball. We talked about Florida-Carolina Game 2's coming up. The Lakers and the Nuggets, Game 3 of that series, coming up tonight at the Crypto.com Arena. The WNBA is back for everybody that likes those. We saw the newest super team of the WNBA, the New York Liberty, who loaded up with talent in the offseason. They've now got Jonquel Jones. They got her from the Sun. They've got Courtney Vandersloot from the Sky. They've got Brianna Stewart, who used to play for the Storm. And they ended up getting drubbed last night by the Washington Mystics, 80-64, in a game where the Liberty did not look good. They shot 34%. They were 7 of 31 from three. They turned the ball over 22 times. It'll be interesting to see how they can turn things around. You know, Jones still coming back from a foot injury. She was on minutes restrictions. Vandersloot was on minute restrictions. She had suffered a concussion during training camp. Stewart still recovering after playing in Turkey in the offseason. So we'll see if they play better tomorrow in their home opener. Only 2 games in the WNBA today, and that's the Atlanta Dream going to take on the Dallas Wings, and the defending champion Las Vegas Aces taking on the now pretty much gutted Seattle Storm. A lot of people predicting the Storm to be the worst team in the league this season. You know, no Sue Bird. Of course, we just talked about Stewart is not there anymore. So they've got Jewel Lloyd trying to carry that team. Not going to do you a lot of good when you're facing the defending champs who are loaded with talent. When you look at, you know, Paige Wilson and now Candace Parker is there, and Kelsey Plum and Rakina Williams and Jackie Young and Chelsea Gray and Stephanie Colson, and just a ton of talent on that Vegas team. The rich get richer sometimes. And that'll make it interesting for sure. Seattle, a hefty underdog at home for their opener. I would take Vegas there, as they should, you know, roll over the Storm. In the other one, tough to know what you got with Atlanta, you know. I would probably lean towards Dallas just because the Wings are at home and they're a better team. That line's down to as low as 2 at Caesars. But with that said, we can move on to talking about what's going on today, and that takes us to, of course, everybody's favorite part of the show, 3 for the money. And you see, we got some props up here today because I like a lot of the props better than I like some of the matchups, because some of the matchups, if you like the teams that are playing, either some of the lines are juiced to the point where you know you're wondering about the value, or the lines weren't up necessarily. Like, you know, you look around baseball, Houston is a -2 between 280 and 300 favorite over the A's. And there's not even a ton of value on the run line there, because you look, and I think it's -1. Oh, it's gone up now. It's up to 140, -140 on the run line for Houston. If you go -2.5, then you can get +110. But I know the A's are bad, but do you want to try and run the risk of that Houston's going to outscore them by 3? They did last night. They won 5-1, but still, it's a big number. Other big numbers, you know, Tampa Bay is almost a -200 favorite over Milwaukee. Playing at home, Zach Eflin going against Eric Lauer. Texas is a big favorite over Colorado. The White Sox, a big favorite over the Royals. So, going with some props there. Brandon Montour, we just talked about Panthers, over 2.5 shots. You look at the numbers for Montour lately. He had, I think it was 8 shots in the quadruple overtime game, which, granted, those numbers are inflated, but you look at what he's done over the course of the playoffs. He had a big series against Boston in the opening round. He played well against Toronto, scored in game one of that series. He hadn't scored, which is probably why his goal prop is at plus 420. But you look at his shots on goal. In recent games, he's gone over the mark in 6 of his last 7. 6 shots in game 7 against the Bruins, then 5, 4, and 3 in the first 3 games against the Leafs. Then he had 2 in game 4, which was the one game he fell under. But his last 2 games, 9 and 8 shots on goal. That number has actually gone down now. You can currently get Montour's shot prop at minus 143 at Bet Rivers and Unibet, which is way lower than what you're going to find at FanDuel or DraftKings. DraftKings is minus 165, FanDuel minus 176, BetMGM is minus 175, Caesars is minus 169. So if you're going to chase that, I would go to Bet Rivers or Unibet if you can. Save yourself some change on that. Jokic over 10.5 assists. Say this about Nikola Jokic. He probably should have been a 3-time MVP based on what we saw from Embiid in the playoffs. If you can call his performance worthwhile, which I don't. You look at Jokic, he had 23 points in game 2. Because Jamal Murray went nuclear in the fourth quarter. You could play the triple-double bet if you want. It's minus 140. I don't like the fact that I'd have to give juice for something like that. I know he's got 4 triple-doubles in a row, 5 of his last 6. But you look at his assist numbers in his last 6 games, 17, 11, 12, 12, 14, and 12 on the assist numbers. You don't see big men pass that well very often in the NBA. He's just been a force to be reckoned with. And, you have to think that he'll put up another big assist game because they're going to be trying to key on him. And Logan Webb of the Giants, over 17.5 outs recorded. He's facing the Marlins. We know Miami's not a baseball team that's going to scare anybody offensively. You look at Webb's starts. He threw 6 innings in the opener against the Yankees in his first start of the year. The White Sox, he threw 5 innings. That's the one outing he had where he's gone less than 6 innings this season. He threw 6 innings against the Dodgers. He went 6 2/3 against Miami on April 17th. Then went 7 against the Mets, 6 2/3 against the Cardinals, 7 2/3 against the Astros, 7 against Washington, and he threw 7 against Arizona in his last start. They've also bumped this up if you want to go over 18.5. So if he comes out and gets an out in the 7th, they put that at plus 104. So that number is available to you too. I think he'll go 6 2/3, maybe go 7 flat against the Marlins. They're just not very good, let's face it. So those numbers are there for you. And some good value there, I think, especially on with Montour's shot prop going down. That takes us to 4 for the show. All right, we talked, like I said, about the Panthers. Let's face it, these teams are gassed. I don't see offensive. I mean, they were fresh in game 1, and we saw a total of 5 goals. The score was 3-2. Not expecting an offensive bonanza between these teams here, with both teams, gassed. I think you're going to see another low-scoring affair, and the game ends up, at best, 3-2. I mean, I'm surprised that there was plus money on this last night. Um, I guess maybe they're expecting that all of a sudden, since they're tired, somebody's going to end up popping a couple of easy goals or something, but I don't see it. Speaking of the Marlins, we've got the Giants over them. Let's face it, we just talked about Webb. Who, if he had a little better luck, he'd be better than 3-5. When you look at his peripherals, he's got a 320 earned run average. He doesn't walk a ton of guys. I mean, he's walked a total of 11 in 59 innings. He struck out 58. I mean, he's given up 8 homers, and I think that's probably been part of what did him. He gave up 2 homers to the Yankees. He gave up 2 to the Dodgers. But, in his last 5 starts, going back to April 22nd, 2 runs in 7 against the Mets, 2 runs in 6 2/3 against the Cardinals, 2 runs in 7 2/3 against the Astros, 1 run in 7 against the Nats, and then 1 run in 7 against the Diamondbacks on Sunday, where the Giants lost 2-1 in walk-off fashion. But you look at the losses that Webb took. He took 4 losses to start the year, and he lost 5 of his first 6 starts. But in those 6 starts, we'll just focus on the 5 losses because they scored 7 in his 1 win in that stretch. But in those 5 losses, the Giants scored a total of 7 runs, and that's not going to get it done. They haven't been great offensively. They scored 9 runs in his last 3 starts, but he's kept his team in the game. He's got a 166 earned run average in his last 3, a 106 WHIP. He's gone 21 2/3 innings in those 3 starts. And let's face it, the Marlins are not a team that scares you offensively. Last night they fell 4-3. Alcantara pitched for the Marlins against DeSclafani. And let's face it, outside of Arraez, who's hitting 378, who are you intimidated by in the Marlins lineup? And Soler has some power, but he's hitting 234. Gene Segura's hitting 211. Cooper's at 271. De La Cruz is at 287. He homered and drove in all of the Marlins runs yesterday. But you look at some of these other numbers. Joey Wendell, 139. Jacob Stallings, $123. And we're in late May now. These numbers are horrible. But I digress. Alexander Barkov, over 2.5 shots. Same concept there. We talked about Barkov. His goal prop is at plus 230 at FanDuel. He scored in game 1. If you look at his shots, he doesn't get a ton of volume, but he's another guy that has gone over 5 of his last 7. 4 shots in game 7 against the Bruins, 4 shots in game 1 against the Maple Leafs, 6 shots in game 3, or game 4, I should say. 3 shots in game 5. He had 3 shots in game 1, and that shot prop's down as low as minus 106 at BetRivers and Unibet, 118 at FanDuel, 120 at DraftKings, 123 at Caesars. So that number is another one you can get lower now than you could last night when I set this up. And Austin Reeves, over 2.5 threes. Reeves has been a guy that has tried to help Boston stay in this series. He and Hachimura have stepped up. Reeves, 3 straight games with at least 22 points. He's gone over his point his point prop in each of the last 5. If you want to play that, the number is set at 16.5. Again, BetRivers and Unibet lowest on the odds numbers there at minus 103. FanDuel's at minus 113. Caesars minus 114, and then DraftKings is minus 115. But you look at recent games, Reeves has hit at least 3 threes in each of his last 5. He's averaged 2.8 threes in his last 10. And BetMGM still has it at plus 135. Everywhere else it's going down. DraftKings only has it at plus 115. FanDuel plus 126. Caesars plus 129. So I grabbed it last night plus 140. Hopefully, you can get it with some value still out there. But Reeves and Hachimura are the two guys that have basically carried the Lakers to try and hang in these games. Because you look at how poorly we saw Davis look in Game 2, and somebody needs to tell LeBron James to stop shooting threes. 0 for 6 in Game 2, and that's not going to get it done. And that will take us to Shot in the Dark. Of course, we have 10 picks up there. You don't have to play them all. You can mix and match them. You can mix and match them with some of the ones that are you've already seen on the board. You can mix and match them with some of your own. You can play 2, play 4, play 6, play 3, whatever works for you. That's the great part about it. We just give you the options. And with that said, I'm going to stick with the Nuggets. I'll take the points. Not sold on the Lakers after seeing them play the first 2 games of the series. Maybe playing at home will help them, but Denver is just a well-oiled machine right now. You've got Jokic, you've got Murray. Bruce Brown has played well. Porter Jr. has stepped up at times. Caldwell Pope has been a factor off the bench. One guy you can count on to screw stuff up is Aaron Gordon, but he doesn't shoot the ball all that much. And with the Lakers, you can't count on James and Davis to do it all because they haven't. Hachimura's been decent. We talked about Reeves, but outside of those guys, D'Angelo Russell's been on a milk carton. Schroeder has done nothing. And Lonnie Walker had a couple big games against the Warriors, but he's been a non-factor as well. So you have to wonder, where do the Lakers go for production? And the answer is nowhere, because they're going to be down 3-0. Neckis over 2.5 shots. He's been a big factor for Carolina in the postseason. He has scored twice in Game 4 against New Jersey. He's been a force out there, making things happen. And you look at his shots on goal, 3, 4, and 5 in each of his last 3 games. He's gone over in 5 of his last 6. He's also gone over in 7 of his last 10 games. The return of Tara Vinen did not impact him being a factor when it comes to shooting the puck. And, I expect that to continue. I expect his offensive production to be a big factor. Now, see, the White Sox line we talked about spiked up because I got it last night at minus 164, and now it's the lowest out there is minus 180 at FanDuel. Everybody else is at minus 190 or up. Jordan Lyles going for Kansas City with his awesome 0-7 record and earned run average over 7. The weird thing with Lyles is he doesn't necessarily give up a ton of hits. The most hits he's given up in a start is 8 on the season. The problem is he's given up 14 home runs already. He's only walked 17 guys, but he's given up 14 homers and 51 2/3. And that's Lyle's thing. He gives up home runs. He gave up 26 last year, 38 the year before with Texas. And if the White Sox smack him around, which, let's face it, everybody else has. The Royals are in trouble. Giolito pitching for the White Sox. He's 2-3 of the 3, 6 earned run average, 1.12 whip. Kansas City scored nothing last night against Michael Kopech, who threw 8 innings and gave up 1 hit. No walks, 10 strikeouts. Only threw 98 pitches. And let's face it, Kopech was not good coming in to the ball game. His earned run average is still 574, even with those 8 shutout innings. Now, Kopech's been better lately. Give him credit. He's 2-1 with a 289 earned run average in his last 3 starts. But, he had also given up at least 4 runs 4 times already this year. And all of a sudden, he made the Royals made him look like Nolan Ryan at his prime. I don't have a ton of faith in them against Giolito, especially with Lyles pitching, because Lyles has been a freaking train wreck. I talked a minute ago about Aaron Gordon being somebody you can count on to screw things up. I look for him to not score any points. You look at his numbers lately, and they are not good unless you like betting unders. Because you look, Gordon's last few games, he's gone under the total or under his number in 6 straight. Since scoring 16 points in game 2 against the Suns, he's been a virtual non-factor offensively. 9, 11, 10, 8, 12, and 10 points in his last 6 at 12.5 at plus money. I'll take it. Don't expect him to be a factor here. He takes dumb shots. He doesn't hit free throws. You look at his shooting in those games, going back to 3 for 13 in game 3 against the Suns, 5 of 10 in game 4, 4 of 13 in game 5, 3 of 7 in game 6. Then he was 4 of 9 in game 1 of this series, 5 of 9 in game 2. He's 0 for 5 for 3 in the series. And he bricked 4 free throws in game 1 against the Lakers. Didn't get to the line in game 2. Why should I have faith in a guy that shoots 66%, or who shot 60.8% of the line at the regular season? He's shooting 66.7% in his last 10 at the stripe. I don't expect a ton out of him. Like I said, there's too many other guys that can contribute. The Orioles and Blue Jays over 9. I was disappointed yesterday. They didn't get to that number. Baltimore won 6-2 to end up falling short. Grayson Rodriguez pitching against Alek Manoah. Rodriguez has not been good. Last start gave up 8 runs on 9 hits, 3 walks, and 3 strikeouts, and 3 1/3 against the Angels. He also gave up 6 runs to the Royals in 3 2/3 a couple starts ago. He gave up 5 to the A's back in April, then 4 to the White Sox. His earned run average is 657. In his last 3 starts, his earned run average balloons to 1137. He gave up 24 hits and 16 runs, 7 homers in his last 12 2/3 innings. Not great numbers when you're going to Rogers Center. On the flip side, Alek Manoah, what the hell happened to you? He had pitched well the last couple seasons. He was 16-7 a year ago. He was 9-2 as a rookie in 2021. This year, 1-4 and earned run average over 5. He's walked almost as many guys as he struck out, 32 walks, 35 strikeouts, and 45 innings. He's 0-3 in his last 3 starts, a 659 earned run average, a 449 on base percentage allowed, a 220 whip. He's walked 12, struck out 7 and 13 and 2/3. Those numbers aren't pretty unless you're betting the over. So I look for a lot of base runners. I look for a lot of offensive opportunities. If anybody puts the ball out of the yard, you're probably looking at multiple runs. I think that one should cruise past 9 and end up in the double digits somewhere because neither of these pitchers are. To quote Henry Winkler in The Waterboy, you're going to have to do this by yourself because none of these other guys are any good. And that's basically where we are. The Hurricanes over the Panthers. Carolina should have won game 1. They let it slip away. I don't look for that to happen again playing at home. I know Bobrovsky's played out of his mind since coming into to take over for Alex Leon. I just don't have faith in him being able to keep it up, especially with both teams being dog-tired. Florida or Carolina will feed off the home crowd and find a way to get the win there to even the series. The Pirates and the Diamondbacks, I gotta give Pittsburgh credit. They beat the brakes off of Zach Gallen yesterday. I was stunned, shocked, and outraged. But they beat the brakes off. They won 13-3 today. It's Brandon Pfaadt. I guess that's how you pronounce the name, Pfaadt. He's a rookie. He's going against Mitch Keller, who all of a sudden has suddenly figured out how to pitch. Pfaadt has made 3 starts in the majors. He's 0-1, 859 earned run average, 157 whip, 6 walks, 11 strikeouts. He's given up 7 homers in 14 and 2/3. Meanwhile, like I said, Keller has pitched well. You got to give Keller a ton of credit for figuring it out. Last year he was a scrub. The year before he was a scrub. He's already tied his major league high for wins in a season at 5. He won 5 last year in 31 appearances, 29 starts. He won 5 in 2021 in 23 starts. This year he's 5-1 in 9 starts, a 238 earned run average. He's walked 14. He struck out 69 in 56 and 2/3 innings. He hasn't given up more than 1 run in any of his he hasn't given up a run in his last 2 starts, spanning 16 innings. Blanked the Rockies 2-0 on May 8th with a complete game. He had 4 hits, 1 walk, and 8 strikeouts. Then he went to Baltimore on Sunday at Camden Yards, threw 7 shutout innings against the Orioles, giving up just 4 hits, no walks, struck out 13. The Pirates, he's 4-1 in his last 5 starts. The one loss came to Tampa Bay on May 3rd. They gave 5 runs, but only 1 was earned. So Keller pitching well. I'll take him over the Diamondbacks, especially pitching at PNC Park, where he's 3-0 with an earned run average of 2, a whip of 089, 5 walks, and 30 strikeouts in 27 innings on the season. If you wanted to go that route. Rui Hachimura, we talked a minute ago about how other guys aren't showing up. Hachimura has. He was 7 of 7 and shooting from the floor in the first half. Finished with 21 points in game 2. They've now moved the line slightly. Now you can get it at over 13.5 at plus 105. So they moved it from over 12.5. He still should get over 13.5. If you look at his last couple of games, 17 in game 1, 21 in game 2. He's been a big factor for the Lakers because nobody else is doing anything off the bench. Look for him to have probably 15, 16 points, end up over the number. Jordan Martinook, over 2.5 shots. We've talked about this game a lot. But you look at Martinook has gone over his shot total in each of the last 5. He had 5 shots in game 1. And it's actually down. You can get over 2.5 at plus 140. Over 1.5 is minus 190. So a lot of juice if you try to go down to him only having 2 shots. But that is available to you if you want to go that route. And finally, LeBron James under 25.5. Like I said, we watched him shoot horribly. It's like the Nuggets are daring him to take some of these 3-point shots because they know he can't hit them. Finished with 22 in game 2. He had 26 in game 1, but a lot of that came in late in the contest. You're looking at James was 9 of 19 from the floor. Like I said, 0 of 6 from 3. He's 0 for 10 in the first 2 games from the series from 3-point range. It's called don't shoot the damn ball from out there. For some reason, in the last 10 games, he's taken 63 3-point attempts and hit 16. That's 25.4%. That's not going to get it done. He shoots well from 2, so quit shooting the damn 3. It's not going in. It's not working. Do something else. Plus, he missed the dunk where he lost control of the ball. He missed a reverse layup in the final minute that could have helped the Lakers hang in the game. The way he shoots the ball and the way he takes dumb shots from the perimeter, I think he's going to stay under the total. He might get 23, 24 points, but I don't see him getting 26 or 28 or 30 because he'll take open threes and miss them. It's called go to the basket. You could try and play him on going for a double-double, but that's at minus 155. But yeah, I just don't see it. Now, he may prove me wrong, and that may be well and good, but from what I've seen, I'm not overly impressed with him trying to go over that number. And that covers everything for today. Like I said, make sure you like and subscribe, ring the bell so that you know when we're here. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors' friends, tell your friends' neighbors that we're here at 9 a.m. on Saturdays. Like I said, promo code rolling across the bottom of the screen. You can use it at experts@winnersandwiners.com. Save yourself some money on premium plays. Always a good deal. I'm 7-3 in my last 10 Diamond Classics, which is what I call my MLB best bets. Like I said, you can get picks for a week, you can get them for a month, you can get them for a year. They're all available to you. Not just me, but all the other experts are on there as well. I hope you have a good Saturday. I hope you have a profitable Saturday. Have a good weekend. Enjoy the weather if it's nice where you are. If it's not, stay inside. And for Just Parlays and for the Winners and Winers Network, I'm Chris King. I hope you have a good one. We'll see you next week. Take care, everybody.